We're very supportive.
Alors, vous avez évoqué tout à l'heure Warren Buffett, on y reviendra bien sûr quand on parlera de la fondation Bill Gates tout à l'heure, mais oui, à l'instant, vous évoquiez, on sait, c'est important d'être entouré, vous êtes passé de 1, 2, puis 11, puis 60 000 collaborateurs aujourd'hui, ça fait beaucoup de monde. Si vous deviez partager avec notre public de jeunes entreprises les quelques secrets de l'hyper-croissance qu'a connue Microsoft ces dernières années, c'est quoi? C'est l'innovation en termes de produits, c'est le financement, c'est la créativité, c'est de trouver un leadership dans un domaine. Quelle est aujourd'hui la clé du succès, ou est-ce qu'il y en a d'ailleurs?
Well, the unique idea of your company is always going to be a big part of it. It's something that develops kind of an excitement and can sell to a very broad market. I'm a big believer that you pick a few customers who are kind of the most demanding customers, and if you win them, then the word of that is a powerful thing, and perhaps if it applies to customers worldwide, then you can grow a very large organization. I'd say past the idea, it's the people you bring in and how strong they are. I do think IT systems can make a big difference because understanding, sharing ideas to a large workforce, keeping track of your quality, what's going well, doing those things in an efficient fashion, IT is all about that. And so we were able to benefit from our own IT products to help ourselves grow very, very rapidly. And being willing to go out and tackle a global market, to go figure out what's going on in Japan, and trying to figure out, whenever you go to Japan, there'll be people who tell you, well, you have to do everything different in Japan. Well, that's only true to about 20% of the things you have to do differently. And figuring out which ones are the ones you have to do differently and you don't, that whole global business outlook is both fun but requires some of your top thinking.
Alors, je crois que l'un de nos entrepreneurs, Isolis Cost, a une question à vous poser sur votre management. Donc, on lui passe la parole. Allez-y, Isolis.
Quels sont vos 3 grands principes de management et dans quelle mesure les nouvelles technologies ont-elles changé la donne en ce domaine?
Well, technology is largely a tool, so I think you can go back and read, what the principles of business and high-quality work are, even back to Sloan when he built up General Motors, or some of the stuff about quality work and how that goes on. And most of those things hold true today. IT hasn't changed that. I would say that IT empowers some of the principles. So, for example, when we do personnel review, we get input from everybody who that person works with, often dozens of people. And if you didn't have IT, that would just be too much time, too much overhead. We often survey our employees. Do you believe in your leader? Do you believe the schedules they've set? Do you think they're doing high-quality work? And that's so easy to do with IT now, that kind of every month we can get sometimes anonymous feedback and see what the trends are, sometimes not anonymous feedback. So the tool makes a big difference. One of my key principles is that bad news should travel fast inside an organization. There's a tendency for good news to travel very quickly. If you win a customer, everybody wants to say it and tell everybody. But whenever I hear somebody comes to me and says, oh, we won this customer, I think, well, what about all the other customers they're not talking to me about? Does that mean we lost every other account? This is a big concern to me. And there's just a tendency to not want to share the bad news, that something's gone wrong. And yet that is actionable. Good news, there's hardly anything to do about it except smile. Bad news, you might really need to change the product, the price, the person, get out there before there's some permanent damage. And so IT systems, a lot of the theme of them is making sure that the news travels and it's just evident, ideally, on the day that it happens.
Alors On va continuer avec les questions des chefs d'entreprise et c'est Geoffroy Roux de Bézieux qui va vous poser une autre question. Alors lui, il faut savoir qu'en France, il représente une association qui s'appelle Croissance Plus et qui aide les entreprises les plus performantes, celles qui vont très vite. Geoffroy Roux de Bézieux.
Tout à l'heure, on a beaucoup parlé de parcours d'entrepreneur. On a dit que l'échec, les erreurs faisaient partie intégrante du parcours d'un entrepreneur. Et donc, vous avez dit tout à l'heure, bad news should travel fast. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire quelles erreurs ou quels échecs vous avez connus dans le formidable parcours qui est le vôtre?
Well, the nice thing about having been a pioneer in the software market, where we believed in this very high volume, low price model, was that because we were there first, we got to make a lot of mistakes that nobody else had about how you deliver the product, how you work with the channel, how you organize the development teams, how you do testing. I'd say one of our most interesting mistakes was that we believed that if you hired somebody who was very smart, you could assign them to do anything. If they were a good engineer, then they would learn how to do sales or they'd learn how to do management. And we were always surprised when people who were very smart in a engineering sort of way could not adapt their abilities into those other areas. And it took us many years of just thinking that people had to be adaptable to realize that skill sets came in very different forms. And so we made huge mistakes putting engineer types who had not adapted to those other things into top positions. And we decided we really needed to mix together. And for a while, that meant we had to go outside the company and bring in some people with those other backgrounds and make sure that we were getting the right mix of the engineering types and the non-engineering types working together. That was probably our biggest mistake. Now, fortunately, our products were so strong that while we were making those mistakes, we were able to keep our momentum.
On a beaucoup parlé du passé de Microsoft depuis le début de cette table ronde. Vous avez beaucoup fait parler de votre présence ces jours-ci avec le lancement de Vista, d'Office 2007. J'aurais envie de vous entendre parler un petit peu d'avenir, parce que vous avez anticipé l'explosion de la micro-informatique avant tout le monde. Quelles sont les nouvelles mutations que vous voyez poindre à échéance de 10 ans? Vous avez parlé au salon de la micro-informatique de Las Vegas d'un univers tout connecté. Qu'est-ce que ça signifie vraiment?
Well, the pace of innovation in information technology is actually accelerating. And no matter what type of new business you're looking at, I'd say that technology will be a major enabling factor. And so it's important to pick a business model that as technology advances is actually helping that. You know, for example, if 10 years ago you'd wanted to do an online newsletter, it wouldn't have made any sense. But today, the number of people who are doing these commercial blogs and finding an audience and finding a business model that can make sense, there are literally tens of thousands of those companies worldwide about a variety of any topic. The kind of technology advances that are clearly coming in the next 5 years include taking the web and turning it from a two-dimensional experience of just things on a screen to a three-dimensional experience where you're actually walking through the city, a virtual city. You can walk into the store and either see the real store, walk around and pick things, or it's a virtual store that's organized according to the products that might be interesting to you. So we're going to bring the third dimension in. We're going to bring in speech so that it's not just the keyboard and the mouse, but it's also a pen on a tablet so you have ink, or just talking to the computer, it talking to you. And the camera is going to be very inexpensive. So your camera will recognize who's walking up to the computer or the television. And this kind of natural interface is going to make the computer far more pervasive. And so anything that you do that's digital, where you're bringing buyers and sellers or interested people together into a community, bringing them online, those experiences are going to be far richer than they are today. And that really upends the traditional business models. It's going to change retailing. It's going to change TV and print publications. And so it's a great time to be starting a business because the disruption factor that technology provides, I'd say the majority of new businesses will ride that as a key factor of why they can succeed now.